Hello, my witches and ghouls. Welcome back to my channel, A Weird Witch. Or if you're new here, welcome. It's always nice to have new people. So today we are going to be talking about, well, not talking about, we're actually going to be doing a reaction video on CBN of a site of an ex-psychic witch or ex-psychic. So before we exactly get into the video we're going to be watching today, what is CBN? So CBN is a Christian broadcasting network. That's what CBN means. It is an American Christian media production and distribution organization. It was founded in 1960 by Pat Robertson, and if you don't know who Pat Robertson is, he is the one who has founded the 700 Club, which is a show on a network that he owns. So CBN produces long-running TV series like I said, the 700 Club, and it co-produces the ongoing Superbook anime. I've never heard that before, but that's kind of strange. I've never seen, heard, thought like that would even be a thing, and has operated a number of TV channels and radio stations. And all this information I got was from Wikipedia, but I've watched like YouTubers like Telltale, aka Owen, who talks about 700 Club sometimes, Pat Robertson, all these like evangelical Christians who like talk about stuff and whatnot. So the headquarters are based in Virginia Beach, Virginia. The current CEO is actually Gordon B. Robertson, which, can you guess by the last name, is the son of said Pat Robertson. And apparently Rob Allman, I'm gonna say Allman, is their news director. And I got their mission, only a little snippet of it from their actual website. So I'm going to read that to you right now. But I'm going to be linking their mission like on their website down in the description so y'all can read the entire thing. It's long. It's like at least 2 pages long. Like it's very, very long. The mission of CBN and its affiliated organizations is to prepare the nations of the world for the coming of Jesus Christ and the establishment of the kingdom of God on earth. Our ultimate goal is to achieve a time in history when the knowledge of the Lord will cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. Okay, nice, I guess. Also, part of their mission on their mission website statement thingy says our staff should be filled with the Holy Spirit and wisdom. God's work must be done by God's people, equipped and chosen. So what I essentially got from that was that they only employ Christians. They don't employ anyone else. I don't even know if they employ like Mormons or LDS. Well, Mormons and LDS are the same. The Latter-day Saints people. So anyway, now that that's over with, we can get into the video. And I'm probably going to be like offsetting myself a little bit, like maybe this way. Yeah, we'll be doing this way so that you can see the full video and I'm not just like, whatever. So, all right, let's move. So now that we've moved, let's get into the video.
So I want to talk about crystals with you, and we'll get a little bit into herbs as well, but crystals have become this massive phenomenon. Young people are using them, and we'll talk about those numbers in a bit, but can you tell us a little bit about what this process or this practice rather of using crystals entails?
This is so new age in depth, using crystals for protection, for to ward off evil, for enlightenment, to bring about psychic awareness, to place on chakras, thinking you're going to open them up and use the energy from the crystals. This whole thing is relying on energy with crystals. I had a crystal heart rose quartz, a pendant made for myself because I believed it was going to draw love. I was also manifesting at the time my spouse, my future spouse. But people are going to crystals all the time for protection. They believe it's going to protect them from negativity, from illness, all sorts of things, Billy. It's really scary. And it's
All right, so I'm going to stop there. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the crystals that she mentions. So she mentioned a rose quartz heart that she was wearing, and she was at the same time manifesting her future husband. I'm not sure how old she was at this point. I don't think she really says in the video, because this is my first time watching, so I really don't know what to say with this, because, like, technically, this is not really a new age thing. The crystal part probably is, but with trying to, like, draw, like, not only, like, protection in your life, but, like, finding, like, your soulmate, or wanting luck, or getting money, or stuff like that, that's like a human thing. That's very much a human aspect of people, to want a lucky item that they believe works, so that they will gain more favor, technically, with the universe. So when she says it's new age, and every time people like her say, oh, it's new age, it's like so dangerous, because you're putting like all your you're wanting to put all your, I don't know how to even explain it. It's like you're giving up your will to these items and hoping that they work, which is technically what we are doing as witches, as psychics, as mediums. Well, not as mediums, but I'm not sure about the medium part, but people who are into esoteric things like witchcraft and other traditions and stuff like that. I want to say we're superstitious, especially as just human beings. We're superstitious. So when we hold on to an item and we think it's going to help us, we truly believe it's going to help us. So when she says it's new age, no, it actually isn't new age. It's been part of our history for a long, long time, even probably before written history. And being like, oh, I'm going to use this to attract my loved one, my soulmate. But humans do that. To be honest, it's like Christians who wear the cross. They wear it as a symbol of them following Christ, and it's to help bring Christ closer to them. So, I don't know what she's getting at. So anyway, start the video back.
It is scary, and it's interesting because this history apparently goes back hundreds and thousands of years.
Okay, there we go. For some reason, my thing doesn't want to work. I think his name's Billy something. I can't really see it because the way that this is set up is not wanting me to look at his name. But he was just saying, like, it's not a new thing. Like, literally just what I said. It's not a new thing that people do. So, thank you, I guess, for helping me out. For agreeing.
This is not a new practice of seeing these stones as having some sort of power. I mean, it almost sounds on the surface almost laughable or ridiculous, but yet many people, this is a very real practice for them. You talked about your own practice there, and I don't know a lot about the different stones, but I know rose quartz is one, obviously, for creating relationships, and there are a number of other ones that are out there that people use. Let me throw the number out at you, because we were given some statistics by Springtide Research that 44% of young people, 44% between the ages of 13 and 25, are using crystals and herbs. What is your reaction to that statistic?
44%? Springtime? I'm going to have to look this up later, because 44%? That's a kind of big number, which means, I mean, I guess I can see it because most people are kind of superstitious. So, but, like, what? I just want to know why they think it's, like, harmful? Like, I don't get it.
Wow. I'm heartbroken by that to start, because it just shows how deceptive the devil is, number one, and how he's not even hiding. These kids are so exposed to witchcraft these days, and they're really looking for something. They're really looking to feel better. They're really looking for identity. They're looking for love. They're looking for all the things that only God can do. But they're not hearing about God. They're hearing about crystals, and it's glamorous and it's trendy and it's spiritually dangerous. It's witchcraft, Billy. It's witchcraft, because you are invoking, once you go to that crystal and you think you're going to manifest something from that, whether it's health, protection, increase your happiness, increase your wealth, what have you, self-confidence, you are invoking demons, because the demons are the ones that have the power. I have to tell you, the crystal is a rock that God created. It can't do any of those things for you.
Okay. Wow, that was a lot. Only God can give you what you need. Oh, only God can give you love. Only God can give you prosperity. Only God can give you protection. These crystals are filled with demons. Even though she just said God had created these crystals, they created these rocks. So how did the demons get in them? How? Because from my knowledge, only God can instruct the demons to do their will. Like, God can tell the demons, hey, you can't mess with that person because I am still over you as a god, you know? So, and also, not everything's witchcraft. Oh my god, not everything is fucking witchcraft. I just don't get it. I know witchcraft is like demonized quite literally in our socioeconomic climate right now. Not everything's witchcraft. I don't get it. Crystals does not equal witchcraft. You can be a new age practitioner and not practice witchcraft. I don't get it. What? Do these people not see nuance? I really don't get it. Like, there's a lot of people out there who don't want to see the nuance and they just go straight. Like, they make conclusions. They jump. What's it called? They jump to conclusions. They jump to conclusions and they're just like, X equals Y. So now we go back to A. And that's why A equals X plus Y. What? If she literally said, God created these crystals. So why are there demons in them? I really don't get it.
Well, let's go there, because what you just said is incredibly important about what is going on here, because there are people who are going to say, well, I use crystals and they're wonderful. They're changing my life. They're the rose quartz is bringing me love and positive relationships. And they're going to see that their use of these stones, right, that is what is doing this. But what you're saying is that by putting their faith in that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, by putting their faith in those stones and trying to use them in that way, they're actually attracting evil in that. And that's where they're seeing these quote unquote positive benefits that aren't necessarily positive.
Again, putting faith into these crystals, like with your God, with the Christian God, Yahweh, you're putting faith into your Christian God who claims to be perfect, an all-perfect deity, all good, but yet just because two people, Adam and Eve, decided to eat from the tree of good and evil, he punishes them because they went like I don't get it. I really don't get it. So when they say like, oh, they put their faith into these crystals and oh, they're saying it's helping my life and it's attracting good things to me. It probably is. Like, we know that crystals have frequencies, that they have special, not special, but what are they called? They're like crystalline, they have patterns. Each crystal has its own pattern that it makes. And it could be like little squares, it could be circles, it could be like zigzags, it could be like each single crystal, like quartz crystal, has its pattern that makes it a quartz crystal. And we use crystals in technology. So like they can conduct energy. Like, so what I believe is literally that people ourselves, we run off of electricity. We literally run off of electricity because our nervous system has like electrical pulses that come from our brain and go down into our nervous system. So we are energy. So when we put our energy into a crystal and tell it, like, and program it and say, hey, I want you to do this for me. I want you to protect me. I want you to cleanse this item. I want you to bring me prosperity. You're doing something to that crystal and it's working. If you know how to direct your energy and all that stuff. And that's like very, very basic stuff that you have to do. And again, you don't have to be a witch. You don't have to practice witchcraft to have crystals, to program them, to do stuff with them, because, like, they work. Like, if someone says, oh, I just bought this crystal and I just sat it on my front door wanting prosperity to, like, walk in through the door, but they didn't, like, program it, they didn't put energy into it, telling it, hey, do this for me, to me, that's like, it's not really doing anything, it's just sitting there looking pretty. But that's me. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
That's right, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. They're making a choice willingly to put their faith and trust in God's creation rather than the creator, rather than God who made those beautiful rocks. And he did make them and they're beautiful, and that's where it ends. So when you start...
I need to stop stopping so much. When she says, yes, they're God's creation, and she's probably going to explain it in just like a second, but where do these demons come from? If it's God creation, if it's perfect, why are there demons going into it? Why? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Using them for divination, for witchcraft, and you may not realize that that's what you're doing, but that's what it is. You are invoking demons, and the demons are the ones who are manipulating circumstances, who are planting ideas, and some of these things become almost self-fulfilling because the demons really can manipulate things around you, and you'll pay attention to those patterns or to those circumstances and make things happen too.
Okay, so when she said that demons are in the crystals earlier, if I remember correctly, but now she says that they're not in the crystals and that they're, like, influencing the stuff around you. Which one is it? Are they in the crystals? Are they not in the crystals? Are they outside of your body trying to influence, like, what you're doing? Or, like, what happens? Like, you say out loud, I want to bring prosperity into my home, and then the demon's like, okay. Like, if the demon is doing that for you, but God can't do that for you if you don't love him, he seems like a pretty shitty God, right? And just quickly, I'm a polytheist, or I'm at least a pagan in the community. Our deities, I believe, I have not read anywhere so far that says this, our deities do not claim to be perfect. Our deities do not claim to be all-powerful. They don't claim to be all good. They don't claim to be all perfect, all knowledgeable, all blah, 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 blah. But their God does. But it's sad that they can't explain as to, even though their God is all good, all perfect, all knowing, all seeing, like, where is he? He clearly doesn't care about people, especially Christians who are poor. Especially Christians who are poor, like my mom and my family. We're poor. I mean, me and my husband, we're doing very well. We got to build our own house. We both have really good jobs. But I grew up struggling. My family grew up struggling. And they were Christian. Where the fuck was his love then? Sorry, but where was it?
Yeah, and this other piece of this puzzle, because when Springtide asked young people, they sort of clumped together this use of crystals and then herbs. And there are a lot of different herbs out there apparently for different things. And it's an interesting conversation because, and I want to separate this out, and feel free to maybe speak to this when I'm done and correct me or add or agree. But, it's one thing to use essential oils or to use herbs to heal things that God's given us. We take them because we take vitamins, let's say, that have certain things in them, medicinally or for health. It's another thing to rely on these herbs in a magical sense. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Before she says anything, there is no difference, magically and mundanely speaking, because literally you can use the same herb medicinally as you can magically. I've done it before. I've done it as a poppet for a family member who was having trouble with their health. And no, I did not tell them I did a poppet on them. So I made a poppet. I made a poultice. I put the poultice into the poppet, and I asked the herb, hibiscus, which is good for lung health, and I asked it, will you please help my family member recover from their lung problem? And even though they were still taking medication, they still went to their doctor, they were taking pharmaceutical medication, they got better. Now, I don't know if that was just because of the medication, which is from herbs, which is from plants, from their God's creation, versus using an herb magically to help someone. There is no difference. There is no difference in my eyes.
Absolutely. I would say the biggest one that stands out to me, of course, is sage. And that is so trendy. I hate to use that word, but it's true. Sage is actually, burning sage is called smudging, and it was a Native American cultural practice. They believed that they were purifying their space around them, getting rid of negative energy. And of course, that trickles into, clearing your space of demons.
Stop. Right here. Just really quick. We actually don't really know that the Native Americans used white sage, not just sage, not common sage, white sage for just purifying the area. They could be using it for something else, which they call it smudging in the English term. But we don't, unless you are part of that tradition, or they tell you, this is what we use white sage for in our smudging rituals and our smudging thing. We don't actually know. So, and she's white. This is a white lady. I don't know her credentials or anything like that. But just because you see it on the community sites, like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, just because someone says white sage is used for cleansing your area and Native Americans use it, that doesn't mean that the Native Americans use it only for that, So, just a quick note.
As a former psychic medium, that was a part of my ritual before doing readings. We would sage the room. I got hired to smudge people's homes, and I would be channeling. And the idea, again, is that the sage will protect you from demons or from this negative energy. But the truth of the matter is that demons don't care about sage. They're not afraid of sage.
How do you know that? Huh? How do you know that demons are not afraid of sage? Have you talked to a demon before? Do you know what they think? Because just because your Holy Bible says that only God can exorcise demons doesn't mean something else can. To be honest, I've only ever heard that sage clears the space of negative energies, negative entities, but I've never heard them say demons. So I don't know about that part, but whatever.
They're only afraid of Jesus Christ. So I argue that even going to sage or any other herb, if you will, and you're putting, again, your faith and trust in these items, these created things for your protection, for your spiritual safety, you're invoking, you're attracting. I mean, I'm sure they're laughing. Those demons are laughing at you. You're not protecting anything. It's a horrible thing to do. It's a horrible idea. Sage is delicious for eating and for cooking. I like to cook. I use sage. Very good. But not, it won't do anything for you in regards to satanic attacks, demonic oppression. If anything, you will become oppressed by using it and by burning it. And Christ is greater than culture.
Again, again, how do you know? And I know I keep stopping, but how do you know? Oh, if it's God's creation and he created everything perfect, I need to stop saying it because I don't understand their logic. Because, especially just like Christians, if God literally made the world perfect, how are their demons getting into like stuff? How? Why? I don't get it.
And that is, and I love what you just said, because you see a lot of TV shows, right, where people are doing this. They're burning sage and they're doing it to get rid of the negative energy, or people buy a new house and they have somebody come through and do it, which is this is something that you did in your previous life, right? This is how you behaved. And just to get into your mindset back then a little bit and to help people understand, because you spoke to it a little bit, but I want to dig in a little there. Obviously, what you are channeling as a psychic comes from the demonic realm, but psychics don't necessarily believe that. They believe it's coming from these spirit guides or something positive. What is it, this negative energy? If you put yourself back in that place of being a psychic, what did you believe you were combating or protecting them from? What was that?
It's so interesting because when I think back on that time, I definitely knew there was a dark side, if you will. Like I knew there was something evil. The New Age, a lot of people don't believe in hell or Satan. I don't think I thought it was Satan or a demon, but something definitely scary. I mean, I would see demons manifest, looking like the Grim Reaper, seeing like these scary animals, or if you would, not a ghost, but like a demon animal taking the form of an animal. So I knew there was something bad and something, kind of like when you think of light versus dark or good versus bad. So I knew that. And I believed that sage, burning that sage, or that process would protect me from that, protect me from those scary aspects. And of course it didn't.
Quickly. And I know she just finished. Okay, in my personal belief, if you ask sage to clear something, and I don't use sage, I do have bundles, but a lot of those were like free gifts from like these shops I bought off of Etsy. They're like, oh, here's a free bundle of sage. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this because I don't use sage. Thanks, but no. Anyway, say I'm a different person. Say that like I'm using sage to ask, and I'm asking the sage plant while I'm burning it to help cleanse my area. I don't believe I do, like, there are dual purposes for, like, one item. Like, one item can do multiple different things. But you have to program it and tell it, I need you to help, like, clear this space. And then what I would do is that I would use the sage, even though I don't. I would use the sage to clear the space, and then I would use something else, a different item, to add, like, protection, like a different incense. Like, So, did she use the sage as both a cleanser and a protection thing? Because, to me, that's just kind of weird, because you're trying to... Because in my head, I'm thinking, you're kind of confusing the same... If she's using the same bundle, she's confusing it, in my head. That's what I think, is like... at one point, you're telling it, cleanse this space, and then when you're done cleansing the space, and then you tell it, protect me. Is that not confusing? Like, I understand, like, it can have dual purposes. It has multiple purposes, but why would you not just use something else to add protection to the space? I don't know.
It only
Well,
improves.
that makes sense too. And I would imagine, and we can get in the weeds here a little bit, but if you are not you, but I'm saying hypothetically speaking of evil demons, if you're evil and you're trying to convince somebody of something, you may behave in a way that makes it seem like the sage is helping, right? Or makes it seem like trying to build faith in the wrong place for people who are using these things. Would you say that that's an accurate depiction of what often happens in these dynamics?
Oh, 100%. And it makes me think, of 2 Corinthians 11, 14, and 15. Satan masquerades as an angel of light. It's going to have to seem good and look good and appealing and like the solution. And of course, it's the problem and not the solution. I mean, when I was in that divination group that I was in, when we were smudging and we had the crystals in there, we had a lot of people that did crystal readings. I mean, it was a beautiful room with a really nice woman and really nice people, and we all wanted to help other people. I mean, there was nothing sinister looking about it at all. Very deceiving.
It is. Well, and all of this is really, and the thing that, as we sort of round out the conversation on this, because there's so much to unpack, but I think a big question people have when they see statistics and numbers showing that 21% of young people are using these things weekly and that 44% overall are engaging in them. And that's just crystals and herbs. There was no question in here about tarot cards or any of the other pieces of witchcraft that we have talked about. But what do you think, when you look at the culture and where we are, what do you think is driving this explosive expansion of the use of these sorts of tools?
I think we have the same old problems. The kids have problems. We all have problems, right? So we're always looking for that solution. But in our culture now, they are loaded with witchcraft. It's everywhere you go. Five Below, I call that witchcraft on a budget. Instagram, social media, cinema, the movies, Ouija boards. I mean, it's everywhere. It's on the shows. It's on Netflix. This is our children's culture. This is their culture. As a matter of fact, it's heartbreaking, those numbers, but is it really shocking? I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it's not that shocking. It's everywhere you look. It's every spa. It's on every street corner now. You have metaphysical shops. Everything's about the crystals. And these kids are going through, I think they're so overstimulated too. They're loaded with anxiety, they're loaded with depression, and they're looking for help and they're looking to feel better. And this is what their culture, I mean, the devil's not hiding in today's date. I'm not saying that he necessarily was hiding, but he's bold and he's blatant and he's out there, and the kids are exposed to it constantly, and especially on the TV shows, the Kardashians, all the way as young as a cartoon called the Casagrandes, I believe that it was called. There was smudging on there. The abuelo was saying, hey, listen, there's some evil energy in here, an evil spirit. This is how we get rid of him. SpongeBob SquarePants, of course. I talk about that a lot with the CG board, which is the Ouija board. Our kids almost can't get away from it. We really would have to lock down on the social media, the cinema, like I said. So I feel terrible. They're so exposed to witchcraft.
I will probably never stop saying this. Not everything is witchcraft. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Not everything is witchcraft. And earlier when she said that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light, I am not well versed on Satan versus Lucifer versus Beelzebub and all those other demons. From what I remember, and my cousin was really good at demonology and all that stuff. And she could probably help me out. But I know Ha-Satan is actually a title that is given to a lot of demons. So when she says Satan or Ha-Satan is disguised as an angel of light, Lucifer was an angel of light, but he was cast out for defying God. So he's disguised as himself? What? Okay. And also, indigenous cultures, and I don't mean just like Native American, but also like Mexican and South American, like indigenous cultures. Just because you think it's demonic doesn't mean it actually is, doesn't mean it's actually bad. Because what you think is demonic actually could be helping somebody. But the fact that she's demonizing indigenous cultures who were like before fucking Columbus fucking sailed over here, who was, I believe, Christian at the time. I'm not entirely sure. I know he was somewhat Christian or something like that. Not sure what denomination, but before Christians came over to America and South America, they were fine. Yes, some of them did like horrible things like human sacrificing, but guess what? A lot of cultures, even European ones, did that as well at one point in history. So, and even Christians back in like fucking ancient times, medieval times, even before medieval times, they killed people because they weren't Christian. So, and now you're wanting to demonize other cultures because they use white sage or sage or any other like what, or they use crystals, herbs, uh, Ouija boards. She said SpongeBob set had like a sea Ouija thing. I guess that's new because I've never seen that before. I remember the, oh my god, what was it called? It was like the sea clam, or it was like a phone, and SpongeBob and Patrick were like taking the string and like it was saying things to them, and Squidward got it one time, and it told him no. That was hilarious. I love that episode, but I feel like that was like later on, like in the years. But I haven't seen like the newer episodes, so I'm not entirely sure what that's about. But Christians have a weird fucking complex. A lot of them do. Not all of them, but most of them have this weird complex that they're better than everyone just because Jesus Christ died for their sins, even though people do bad things all the time. Anyway.
Well, and it really is a natural progression. You have a number of things happening right now. When you push the Judeo-Christian values out of the way and you say they're not going to be in school, they're not going to be in culture, they're not going to be in Hollywood, they're not going to be anywhere. And of course, there are little projects here or there and little movies here or there, but the reality is the culture has moved in a direction that has created this vacuum. And if as Christians, we believe that God designed us to have a relationship with him and that there's going to be an internal sort of compass pointing us towards something divine or something bigger than ourselves, when you push God out of the way, people are going to look for that. And it seems like a lot of young people in record depression, suicide, overdoses, we're seeing all this effect, but we're also seeing that gravitation toward the occult. And so I guess my final question to you, and I don't know what your thoughts will be on this.
Really quickly. And I keep saying really quickly all the time. People are going to kill themselves, off themselves, become depressed because Jesus isn't in their lives, because religion isn't part of, like, a central part of their lives. What? And also with things she also said earlier, which I forgot to mention, they just want to censor everything too. They don't want any outside influence. They don't want different ideas. They don't want anything. They want to stay in this little bubble, and it never changes. Never. They don't want change. They don't want change. They don't want rights for everyone. They want obedience. They want power. They want to make you suffer because they believe you're a sinful person and that you deserve to not be happy because you don't believe Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior.
But in light of that fact that we actually see, and none of this is positive, but there's clearly a thirst for something bigger. That is the part of this that is actually interesting, right? How can we as believers, especially as somebody who came out of this world of the occult, reach people who are engaging in these things?
The exact way that the devil is doing it. Use these platforms, use our ministries for God's glory, and keep letting people know, keep making people aware. So people like me and other ex-New Agers, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we're out there, and we need to go into the churches. We were just talking about that a moment ago, so that we can make parents aware. How much is this being preached right now in the church? So we need to do our best to keep making the kids aware, talk to the kids too. I don't know about you, but...
Okay, so this video is literally almost over, and I'm going to let her finish. Not every parent, not every couple goes to church. Not every partner or partnership goes to church. So you're still... And I do get that, like, when kids are younger, they have their peers, which can tell them and influence them, hey, you're doing this wrong because Jesus Christ says not to, or God says not to, or my mom and dad said not to, or my parents said not to, my mom and mom, my dad and dad, whatever. Just, oh my God, I don't... You're only going to influence those who actually go to church, because those of us who see through all that bullshit is not gonna be influenced by that. We already made up our mind. Although I do read, I do watch YouTube videos, I watch Christians. I watch Christians as well. So it's not like I'm in my own little bubble. I watch atheists, religious people. I watch pretty much anything. Just because you watch something, yes, it might influence you, but it's not like it's gonna make you change into a different person automatically. Yes, it might take a little while to, like, get the ball rolling to influence someone. And even though, like, there could be someone who's, like, down and depressed at one point, like me, and I was told, like, Jesus Christ loves you, and I'm already an emotional person, and I've had to take a really deep look into myself and be like, was this actually, like, Jesus talking to me? Jesus or God, like, filling my soul with his light? Or was it the fact that when I went to a church and they started singing and they had all this music going on when the preacher was talking, was that their influence or was it actually God? Because I'm already an emotional person. So I was looking at one point for something. And yeah, at one point, at actually multiple points in my life, yes, it was like God. Like, not that I found him, but I found Christians who were like, God loves you, Jesus loves you. Oh, you're going to be so happy. You're going to be so happy when Jesus fills you with his light. I still wasn't happy. So just because you say, we need to tell parents in the church about everything's going on, just because you tell parents, and just because those parents influence their children, doesn't mean later on those children are going to think differently. Just because you think you're influencing people doesn't mean you're actually influencing people like you think you are. Just so you know.
I know that my daughter, I'm around her friends, and they used to, congregate around the island in my kitchen while I was cooking dinner and giving me the opportunity to talk about Jesus Christ. That's what we need to do, especially in lieu of the fact that schools, I mean, just real quick to go back 1 second, because we were talking about movies and cinema and everything, and the schools, and like you mentioned, the world is trying to push God out further and further away every day. Schools don't want God in there. They want satanic clubs. They want, you can be whoever you want. You can do whatever you want as long as God is not involved. So we need to, if your kids are in public school, I pray, and I'm really praying for parents, Billy. I really am. My daughter is going to be 22, so I'm not in that, the small child range anymore. So my heart goes out, and I'm praying for all parents. But let's keep speaking up and using all these things, because technology is not scary. God will use it. God is using it. And let's get into those churches and help equip parents with the truth of Christ.
Now, I love all of that, and that is a great place for us to close. Now, you...
Okay, I believe the rest of that is just them promoting her, Jennifer, Jenny, whoever the fuck her name is. I just don't get it, guys. I really don't. And when she said that, like, she was holding space with her daughter and her daughter's friends around her kitchen island to talk about Jesus, just because you talk about Jesus to your daughter's friends, maybe they were all Christian to begin with. I don't know. I don't know the backstory. I don't know her daughter. I don't know anything about their life. But one of them might have just not believed in it and was just like rolling their eyes, just like in the back, and like in their mind, like going like, okay, yes, I've heard this a million times. I know who Jesus is. I know who God is. I don't care. Just leave me alone. Stop talking. I want to talk about something else. And you know what? I really do believe in freedom of religion. I am all for that. I'm all for Christians doing their thing, pagans doing their own thing, Buddhists doing their own thing, Hindus doing their own thing. Like, different. I believe in freedom of religion. Now, what I don't believe is that you need to be going around preaching to people, being like, you need to get saved, when that person might not want you to talk to them, and you're annoying them, and, like, you just leave people alone. Leave them alone. Leave people alone. Because me personally, I'm an introvert. Very much an introvert. I don't like people talking to me. I don't want to have conversations out in the real world. If I'm at the grocery store, which is literally like once a week, I really don't go out much. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear about your I don't want to hear about you like, oh, I thought you needed to hear the word of Jesus Christ. Shut up. Please. And that's me being nice. Because I've had enough of Christians trying to force me into their religion, being like, oh, you'll change once Jesus Christ, like, is in you. His light will fill you. Just leave me alone. Just leave all of us alone. All of us who tell you to leave us alone, just fucking leave us alone. God. Just, I can never say it enough. Just leave us alone. I don't want to hear about your Jesus. I don't want to hear about your God. Yes, Jesus was a cool-ass dude. But your God in the Old Testament was a douche. So, but yeah. Okay, everyone. I hope y'all enjoyed this reaction video today. It was kind of spicy, and I know I went on like a lot of tangents, and there's a long list. So, there we go. It's probably going to be a long video. Sorry about that. I know for YouTube algorithm, it's usually like shorter videos, especially the shorts. Oh my god, the shorts. Or where it's at if you want to like reach people. Not me. I just like my long form content. I like hour-long videos. So it's already been like an hour so far, so hopefully this video is not going to be an hour, because I know I have a lot of editing to do, but yeah. Anyway, if y'all enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment about your thoughts on this Ex-Psychic, Jenny, whatever her name was. My thing was being weird. I couldn't see her name, and I don't want to go to their YouTube channel and give them like views just because I want to know their name. But anyway, I will see y'all in the next video, and y'all have a great day / evening or / night. Bye everyone. Bye.